All right. On today's edition of Paul Doing Paul Things, he's going to go ahead and start prepping to pull the motor. So here's the deal. Number 8 connecting rod is definitely bent, which you guys saw. I'm just putting these nuts back on. I'm not going to drive them down. I'm just going to leave them assembled for now. Exciting. Don't know why it's so difficult to do left-handed, but it is. So I've been researching my options, and my options are pull off the passenger head, which means the carb and intake and distributor have to go. And then once you pull off those, you got to pull the passenger cylinder head. And once you pull the passenger cylinder head, then you can grab number 8 piston that I've already disconnected the connecting rod down there, which you guys saw. And after you do that, I should be able to push it through the bottom of the block on up through the cylinder, through the block. And when you do that, then you should be able to slide a new one in, new piston and connecting rod. Now, the problem is most people don't want to separate perfectly good connecting rods and pistons, which is completely understandable. So, if you go to buy one online, you're looking at, I've seen prices about $150 for a good connecting rod and piston with decent rings on it. And that's not insurmountable. But what is insurmountable, well, it just doesn't make sense to do that when I can buy a complete roller bottom end, depending on prices, for a whopping $150, $200. If I go to LKQ Pick Your Part, I can get one for $375, a complete bottom end from a car that was wrecked or something like that, so you know that the bottom end was good, or at least you got a good shot at that being the case. And since I got to pull one of the cylinder heads anyway, the way I figure it is, let's just yeet this thing on out. Now the question is okay, Paul, congratulations, you got a complete unknown parts car with a bad cylinder head that you didn't know about, and also you got one that had a bent connecting rod. I could have caused that? No way. Hard telling, not knowing, as the saying goes. So either way, I'm still in this pickle, right? So what I have decided to do is yank the motor out of here, and I'm going to do a redneck build. I am going to source a short block. I don't want a long block, but I want it to be a roller, hydraulic roller, so that my cam will just slide on in. So whatever I wind up doing, I will rebuild this thing, put it together on the back of my truck. In the bed. I've got engine hoists and stands and all that stuff, but to be honest, why bother? Why bother when it's all right there? And if I have two engines sitting side by side, I just yeet off the stuff of the new motor, which is basically camshaft and lifters. If I get just a short block, it's just the block, the crank, connecting rods, and pistons all ready to go. They're just set. And with any luck, it has an oil pan, just so that it's nice and contained. But even if it doesn't, I got my Corvette oil pan. No big deal. So to check the bearings and rods on that, it's pretty simple. You just flip the thing over upside down, yank the stuff off, take a look. If it looks good, torque it back up, get the bottom end ready to go. Then I pull this motor out, and I'm going to pull the carb, but leave all the accessories attached. This bottom end is more or less junk. Someone could rebuild it, but there's nothing special about it. It's got slightly dished pistons, very minor, which is no big deal. But the idea is any hydraulic roller bottom end, which the best would be a Vortec motor, which is a 96 through 2000. Just find a 350 that way. Or any TBI motor, which I think started in 88 or 87, maybe even 86. I just need to check it. I think it's 87, because generally when the parts catalog is opened up, they want to know what year your small block came from, and it's generally like the beginning of production to 86, and then 86 and later, and then they go to Vortec afterwards. So that's what I'm thinking, but I know that 87 and later for sure is a hydraulic roller. That means it's all set up and ready to rock and roll for that stuff. So that being said, that's what the plan is going to be here. I'm going to yank this motor out, set it next to the other one, pull off the intake, pull off the cylinder heads, pull out my lifters, pull off the water pump, timing cover, all that stuff. All the accessories will come off, all that good stuff. And then I will build it in the back of my truck. The motor mounts are already out of this thing. Well, they're loose anyway. The bolts are out anyway. All I got to do is unbolt the 4 bolts of the bell housing that connect to the transmission. That's one way to do it. Or the bell housing bolts that connect to the block, which that's just 6 bolts. And that'll probably be the easiest thing to do, to be totally honest. Yank the thing out. I got a brand new pilot bushing that I didn't put in this one because this one was still good. That's for the input shaft of the transmission. And then right after that, just get it assembled and plop the sucker back in. I should have a good motor at that point, and then I can get back to actually trying to make this thing drive. I'm still waiting on the hydraulic clutch line. Every shop I went to wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. I went to Parker Hose, which Parker is good stuff. They make good stuff, but they apparently don't have a lot of small hydraulic lines that this would require. And also they don't pressure test to make sure that it's verified. So I was steered to go to Crown Performance, which makes a bunch of custom stuff there in Vista, California here. And they just are like, yeah, we can't make that. That's too complicated to bends and all that good stuff. So, which is fine. That's totally their prerogative, no big deal. So that's the plan. Basically disconnect exhaust, disconnect fuel, any vacuum lines that are not running or that are running from the intake to the body. So that would be, there's one line, that's the brake booster. Disconnect that, drain the coolant. I just ordered up some hex cap screws for the exhaust manifolds because I feel like these little 10 millimeters or 3/8 or whatever they are just a little bit of a challenge to work with. They don't fit, and I think the smaller shoulder on a hex bolt, which you'll see when I get there, I think that's going to be the ticket. I've got a good set of exhaust gaskets already that I can put in. Now that I know that these work and they don't leak with these fiber, or I perceive them as inferior material. I know that the heads work, the thing runs, so no problems there. So I'm just going to start disassembling tonight. I've got a motor lift plate coming tomorrow. I just need to source a short block. I got feelers out with some folks, some on Marketplace. I can always go to LKQ, pick your part here in Oceanside, head over there and yank a motor out if I want to spend a full day doing that, because they charge you for accessories and all that stuff, and I'll have to blitz all that off. And then I'm hoping that they could give me a better deal if I leave the cylinder heads too. So I don't mind doing that and just literally walking out with a short block, including the oil pan, just to keep the oil in it. So that's kind of where I'm at this point. Not terribly concerned about it. So the question would be, okay, bro, why aren't you just going straight LS? And here's why. I want to learn about these small blocks. I mean, I'm experiencing things that a lot of people never experience in their entire life working on these things, which I guess yay or boo. It just depends. But I want to learn about the small block. I want to run through the problems that the small block has. And I just want the experience of working with it and say that I built one. And I think that I can get close to 400 horse, 400 foot-pound of torque out of this motor with the long tubes, no cats or anything like that. And I think that would be cool. So that's my main objective here, is just to learn. Plus, I want to stick with the carbureted platform. I've got some friends that have carbs, particularly the Edelbrock style. A friend of mine, Dan's got a 64 Chevy C10 that's been lowered, and it's really cool. Single cab. It's got a 4-speed. It was kind of hacked together. We need to do a wiring harness on that at some point. But he's got an Edelbrock, and I don't know how to tune those things properly. So I want to do that. I want to learn that. And then I also want to throw my Holly on, and I want to go through that and get some experience with that. What's the experience for? Literally just my own education. Some people read books, which I do too. Some people take up a musical instrument. Some people do dance lessons. Some people do photography classes. I just want to learn. That's the big thing. And this is my fun and therapy. I sit behind a computer all day and just pound away on the keyboard. And I'm itching to do stuff with my hands, particularly while I'm physically able. So that's the whole story. That's where we're at now. It's exciting. It's stupid that I have to do it, but I'm doing it. And so I don't have to do anything. I get to. I'm excited by this. I really am. It's always fun also sourcing parts and doing all that stuff. I really enjoy the heck out of that. But yeah, that's where we're at. I mean, I just don't see the point of continuing on with this block at this bottom end, considering I'm going to have to rebearing it anyway. And honestly, if I get a new short block and it looks good inside, I'll probably just throw a fresh set of bearings in it anyway. They're like $75 for a set. Maybe I'll do a new oil pump. I don't know. I have no idea. But I know I got a good water pump. All my accessories function. Everything's good except the bottom end of this motor. So that knock, knock, knock noise that we heard was definitely that S-shaped rod underneath there. It's just what happens. It's the way she goes. Again, if you don't know what you're buying, sometimes you get more than you asked for. And that's what I did here. But like I said, I'm not afraid of it. This is just fun for me. So yeah, that's the plan. So for tonight, my goal is to get the exhaust bolts off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 on a side. Drain the coolant, which is just water, so I'm not worried about that. Clean up under the car a little bit, just because it's kind of dirty and I got shit strewn about. I got bolts everywhere and it's just kind of nar. So far, no neighbor has complained this has been sitting on blocks. I really think that the thing most people complained about was the fact that the bumper was off this thing. There it goes on and cool dude. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm still waiting on that hydraulic line to show up. So the clutch master is disconnected from the slave. Whoop-de-doo. It's literally sitting right here. You know, it's just the way it goes. You just run into problems. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and just start getting this ready to yank it out. And to be quite frank, I mean, I'll move my Audi out of the way and I've got a carb lifting plate coming. I'm just going to yeet this thing up and out. I've got enough room that should separate from my input shaft, and then I can tilt and lift the thing up, get it out, set it in the back of the truck. Just do the work. It's just replacing parts. It's all hand tools. It's not a big deal. So anyway, that's the plan. That's the plan, and I'm going to stick to it. So find something hard to do. Buy a parts car. It'll be fun, they said. Yeah, it's fun. I enjoy it. Anywho, I hope you guys have a good evening. I got a bunch of videos to edit. I'm probably going to do some of that this week. And I don't know how far I'm going to get on this thing, but yeah. Oh, might as well show this. So I used to ride motorcycles. There's Dottie. Let's say hi to Dottie. Say hi, Dottie. Hi, Dottie. Hi. Hi, puppet. This is probably... Look at that chunky frickin' monkey. Anyway, I used to ride motorcycles. I commuted on them and I gave up on it because it was really... When you commute on a motorcycle, you're playing pinball, you're going to die. It's just a matter of when, not if. But my wife was jonesing to get back up and go two up and go ride out to a national park or just go on a road trip or whatever. And when you got a wife that likes doing that stuff, you kind of do it. So I wound up buying this thing. It's a 2015 FJR 1300. This isn't the most photogenic place for it, but it's a good place to store it for now. You can see how solid this mount is. This one's a little floppy. So this thing was laid down. The mirror's got some scratches on it, and there's a couple scratches here. But other than that, this thing's only got 38,000 miles on it. Oh, it's got a bent lever, which I've ordered a new set, so that's on the way. But this thing's only got 38,000 miles on it, and because it's the ES, it's got the bags too. They're in the Audi. But because it's the ES model, it's got fully electronic controlled suspension, hard, medium, soft, number of riders, if you're loaded with bags, all that stuff, plus a bunch of throttle adjustments you can make. And I hadn't been on a bike in 8 years. I'm lighter than I was before. That's a heavy bike. I mean, it's about 650 pounds wet. My V-Strom was probably about 500 wet, but it was significantly taller. This one I can flat foot and handle no problem. It's only difficult to ride when you're at like 1 mile an hour, barely pulling away from the gas pump or something like that. But she and I are going to go on some road trips on the bike at some point, and I won't film those. No reason to. I'm not a big motorcycle guy. This thing is not going to be a commuter bike. I don't commute. I work from home. I'm very blessed. But I want to be able to get on a bike with her this summer and go ride around. Like, I'm thinking maybe we do Big Sur. That would be a fun ride on the motorcycle. All we gotta do is just pick the right time to get through LA. And once you're through LA and off the main freeway onto the 101 west of Ventura, there's a lot fewer cars and it's a lot less dangerous. So I used to split lanes and all that stuff. I won't do that anymore. Just no reason to. So yeah. Anyway, that's the current update, and this is kind of a little bit of a mess, but one of the things I need to do is definitely disconnect the battery since I've got hot wires everywhere, and start disconnecting harness stuff. And this fan should work. Like, I should be able to just ground this right away. Yeah, that ground thing came off. Of course, it's not working now. No idea why. Well, probably popped the fuse. No, fuse is still good. Yeah, I don't know why it's not working right now. Oh, battery's dead in the car. That's why. That's the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the battery out and check out that power distribution thing, clean things up, put stuff back. So yeah, battery's dead. I'm wondering if I got a draw somewhere. I'm sure I do. But I'm gonna swap this out. I'm gonna do a relayed setup. I bought some relays, wiring harness kits, relay stuff that should make this relatively easy to do. So, anywho, that's going to be an upgrade I'm going to do, and honestly, that's the right way to do it. When you use those Busman fuses, you can get away without having a relay because it's effectively a self-resetting fuse, which acts like a relay. I also ordered a new water neck that is exactly the same as this one, but they couldn't give me the right size. They couldn't give me what it actually was. They said it was about 6.5 centimeters across. But they didn't give me any other information, so I'm a little annoyed by that. But this whole thing was $15, so it wasn't that bad, and I'll just be better about it. This thing sealed up better, and then the hoses fit better and all that good stuff. So anywho, I'm going to just get after it. So yeah, that's the plan, and that's what's going to happen. Get out there, find something to do. Make it hard. All right, got the motor disconnected from the car, with the exception of the transmission bolts, which I'll come out and do later, but you can see I got the exhaust bolts out. I'm going to probably whack that thing. I'm not terribly worried about it. Same thing on the other side. Carburetor's off. This exhaust is disconnected. No problem there. I'll have to disconnect. Well, the starter's already disconnected, so that makes it easy. And then pulled the cap off, left the wires attached just because who cares. Yeah, so it's just bell housing bolts at this point. And get that plate and start jacking this thing up and out of here. I know I'm going to have power steering line I'm going to have to worry about, and this lower rad hose that I'm going to have to disconnect. And then the only point of contention will be this fuel setup, which I just need to tap into the return and bend it up and over here so that I can do something a little more neat. I am going to clean the engine bay up a little bit while I'm in here. I know the power steering lines I'm going to have to disconnect. The bottom coolant hose I'm going to have to disconnect. But I've been working slow, got interrupted by Brian. I don't mean that in a bad way, but hung out with him for about a half hour or so. I think I'm, to this point, an hour in to disassembly and getting ready to yank this thing out. So it just goes to show you that it doesn't take too much, and I really think this chassis is a good chassis to be able to pull a motor, because as you can see, it's not really a problem getting this thing out. I mean, this is the back of the cylinder head right here. The whole thing's got to come forward just enough anyway so that I can get it off the input shaft. And yeah, I don't think it's going to be a problem at all. So that's what we'll do. I don't know when I'm going to be able to do it. And you can see I was running rich. Those are brand new plugs, and see how fouled they are? It's awful. So I need to clean those things up, but I'll just wire wheel them real quick and move on with life. In fact, I'll just go do that now just to be done with it. Yeah. So it won't be too bad. Yeah, I'll clean up the wiring in the engine bay, probably pull the ECM and harness, because the other thing I want to do is I want to run the plumbing for the coolant temperature gauge and the oil pressure gauge inside the cab, and if I pull the ECU harness out, I should have plenty of room to be able to do that. I really don't care if I most of the dash does light up. I'm going to just take it out and sell it. Someone will buy it for $200 and then refurb it themselves. So, anywho, that's where we're at. What time is it? 9 o'clock. It's quitting time. Well, I had a little bit of an adventure in the truck. I was going up to go get myself a new short block for the Corvette, and about 2/3 of the way there, all of a sudden the truck stopped charging, and then coolant temp went up like crazy. Well, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. That was I chucked the belt. And sure enough, I'll insert a video of me repairing it on the side of the road. Looks like I should torque those down a little bit, although that seems fine. Anyway, 1, 2, 3 bolts that I had holding my air conditioning compressor. 2. This is Paul's custom fab. that bracket, it snapped 2 of the 3, and the one in the far left corner over there, that one was still there. So I tightened it down, did a bunch of ratchet strapping, which I'll insert a video here. Cut to video, Paul. Here, pulling this from that way. And I got that guy strapped there, going all the way down. If I keep the revs low, I should be okay. So I just got a toodle home, which is totally fine. Oh, yeah, so snapped off these bolts in that cylinder head. 2 of the 3 snapped and broke off. One was just gone, so I'll need to drill and tap those. I may look for an actual proper mount because I made that. Clearly it's a problem. Anywho, alright, I'm going to get back on the road. And, that got me most of the way home. I only got it up to 240 degrees twice. One was most of the way back home and then the rest of the way. But with a water pump, I've only got one belt on this thing. So it's running from here, up over here, and around under the tensioner, and then up to that air conditioning compressor, and then back down. So the basic scenario is I need to beef up that bracket. There's a lot of tension on startup and shutdown. This thing is just rocking like crazy. So here's the plan. I got another hole here, and I'll take my bracket off and I'll kind of show you what the plan is. But basically my plan is to mount it here, weld something down here so it goes that way, and then on the bracket try to get it to hook right here a little bit. That's the idea. So that's the project for today, and then maybe I can go up and get that engine later today. So yeah, I'll just keep you guys posted. No need to actually show it. Extracting bolts is a boatload of fun. I've already started working on one and it's starting to come out, but it's always tedious. So yeah, I need to find my left-handed bits, which I know I have, and I'll bet you that if I had one of those, they would just zip right out. But yeah, so that's the plan, that's the scenario. I mean, this is what you get when you've got custom everything. You know, it's no problem. Not a big deal, just got to work on it. And I'll actually fog it with paint this time. I'll clean it up and fog it and try to avoid the rust that was happening on top. But yeah, FAFO, right? Ha! All right, so I got that extracted, those bolts extracted, which is awesome. They weren't that bad to get out. And this is my flat bar. I'm going to struggle drilling a hole through, but I'm going to weld that to there, right up here, and then drill a hole. And that'll be part of it. And then the little lip I was talking about is I want to build an extension that goes off and kind of grabs underneath here so that this mount cannot come up. Well, it would have to break the metal, which is entirely conceivable on this truck. But that's the idea, is to do that. Yeah, and now I'm just rambling. Okay. All right, bye. Well, elegant it is not, but it should be functional. I mean, look at these gorgeous welds. So this plate is good. I've wallered out that hole so that that front bolt lines up, and then I added a little attachment that's going to latch this thing underneath that part of the block. So this thing's going to slide on from the outside and just butt up, and then I don't know if you can see it, but we'll see if that works. It hooks underneath the head, so this thing cannot bend up. And all the rotational force on this bracket is this way. So I'm hoping that once this is done, this should be the last iteration. I clearanced the bottom a little bit. I'm going to do a little bit more, just so that this plate is not going to be touching this cover. I'm going to clearance just a little bit more because I can see it's wanting to hit. But that's pretty much it. So I'm going to fog this thing down with paint. All the bolt holes are chased and ready to go. I'm going to fog it with paint. Then I got to go get a couple belts because I want spares. And then, yeah. And I just got a call from my friend Troy, who's got an 85 block. It's got flat tops with the valve reliefs, so I'll get a little bump and compression out of it. I'm going to go up and get that small block, and I will let you know how that goes. So yeah, and it's fun, exciting. Well, she ain't perfect, but I think she'll hold. It's not lined up great, but I guess only time will tell. But I think it'll be fine. Certainly not loading that belt right now. But I'm going to call that a successful repair. And I got a call that the oh, I found those two nuts. I was wondering where they went. Yeah, the joke's on me. I got a call that that block is ready for me, so I'm gonna just head up there and go snag it. I'll take some video once I get it. And there we go. All right, here's the haul. Got the 85 pistons in it, so that means that there's no dishes. The block's good. The problem is I can't use the block because this is a two-piece main, and I know that my crank won't work. So the plan is to yank out all the pistons and rods and throw this in my block and go from there. So things got a little bit more complicated, but I'm just going to re-bearing it, move on with life. Probably relatively low mile. The rings are probably still good. I may hone it, I may not, I don't really care. But Troy was cool. Visited with him. This just flipped over on its own, and it's now eating all the oil and coolant and everything out of it, which hey, I can reuse this hose. That's nice. But yeah, so that's the motor. There's some rocks in it, or old coolant, someone trying to fix something, or just crusty stuff. But yeah, I think, and maybe this oil pan will be the same. It looks to be in better shape than mine. Mine had the dent up here, but anywho, so that's it. I'm gonna head home and probably take the rest of the evening off. So yeah, how exciting. Be a gross lubricator on I-15. Yeah.